Hey there and welcome back. A buddy of mine just told me about a car show he was attending and told me they were accepting vendors. They asked me if I wanted to come down and sell some of my products. It's not something I normally do. I'm usually doing custom orders where I make something and sell it right away. I don't have much of an inventory. So I started making a lot of different products, trying to hit every price category. I wanted to make a centerpiece, something to show off my skill set. So that's what I'm going to get into. In typical fashion, things don't go to plan, and I have to make a bunch of adjustments on the fly. So let's get into it. I've got this piece of 8/4 cherry here. I'm going to cut this in half, get it over the joiner. I'm going to let this sit up for a few hours and we'll get back to it.
6.5 hours later.
I'm going to get this thing out of the clamps and hopefully send it through my planer. This is right at 13 inches and the planer has a 13-inch capacity, so we might have to figure out another way. So we're right at 12 7/8 width, which I think will probably be the overall width of the cutting board, unless I decide to put a border on it. Now we're going to cut the strips. Okay, so I've got my stop here set up at just over 2 inches, 2 1/8, I think. So that will determine the overall thickness of the cutting board. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting my strips now. I'm gonna get this thing glued up now, trying to keep the pieces as straight as possible so I don't lose any more width here. Gonna get this thing out of the clamps and over to the CNC to flatten it. Now we're set up on the CNC, we're gonna start carving the pocket. This particular tool path will take about a half hour. Went to the wood store today. Got this piece of walnut here. I paid way too much for it. I had them cut it in half, so it's two of these. It was $156. In case you're wondering where the price comes from. Anywho. All right, I want to do the jointer. By the way, please excuse the state of my shop. I have about 10 different projects going on all at the same time. It somehow looks worse than it normally does. All right, so I busted this out, the clamps. Now I'm going to cut it in strips very similar to what I did with the main board. This time I've got the stop set to just under 1 inch. I got these 4-way clamps from Rockler. They were pretty darn expensive, and I'm really not sure how effective they are. But I do find myself using them more and more, so they must have some sort of value. As I tighten these, they're supposed to press down and keep everything flat, as well as holding them together, obviously.
12 hours later.
All right, now that I've got both sides flat and coplanar, I'm gonna go ahead and start the carve. This portion should take about 40 minutes. I have no idea why, but the toolpath missed these, and that's not going to work. So I created a new toolpath to only get rid of those parts. This could destroy the whole thing, which is going to be expensive and it will suck. So here goes nothing. All right, we're gonna let that go overnight. I got a decent feeling about this.
Idiot. The next day.
I started getting nervous. I wasn't gonna be able to get everything done in time. Guess I couldn't sleep, so here I am. Over to the CNC, we'll get this excess inlay taken off, take it from there. Since I've already got this on the CNC, I'm going to do a fluting toolpath for a juice groove. Now I hate juice grooves, but it seems most people buying a cutting board want it, even though this will likely never even be used for an actual cutting board. Anyway, I'm going to do a fluting path right down here. So far it looks pretty good. I'm going to send it through the drum sander and we can actually see how this inlay turned out. I have high hopes so far.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Well, folks, sometimes things go my way and work out, and other times they do not. This is an example of a time when things are not going my way because this board is trash. It is not salvageable. I'm not sure how or why it happened. I've done a lot of inlays and this has never before happened, but the inlay in several spots kept popping up out of the pocket and I kept sanding and sanding and sanding, and long story short, there's a huge gap and I can actually press down on the inlay, like there's room behind there. So this is completely trash. But since I have a deadline, I went ahead and made another board using the same process I already showed you with this one. So while the male portion of this inlay is carving, I'm going to do an edge profile and create a handle on all four sides. So let's get into that. I apologize for the noise. The CNC is going. All right, since I'm short on time, I want to get as much of this done as I can while that's working. Once the glue goes in, I'm down for the day. So I'm going to round the corners over now. Well, here we go again. I think what happened last time is perhaps I put too much glue in, and while I let it cure for 8 hours, I don't think that was enough time. So I'm gonna put a little less glue in and let it sit longer. Hopefully that will cure. That mistake cost me, I don't know, probably 120, 150 bucks. I'm a little sore about that. I don't think these 20 pounds are going to do much, but better safe than sorry. All right, be back at it tomorrow. Okay, I finally got this thing to the same stage I got the other one before I determined it was garbage. So the inlay looks great. Now I'm going to start sanding. I'm going to start at 60 grit, work my way up to 320. I'm not going to bore you with all of that nonsense. Here I go. This board is too big to fit in my laser, so I made this using a little bit of wood glue in the middle and CA glue. The CA glue will hold it until the wood glue can dry. I've only got one shot at this because it'll grab immediately. All right, that's good.
This process is called water popping. The water causes the fibers of the wood to stand up and makes the board rough. Once the board fully dries, I will sand the entire thing again with 220, which will get it nice and smooth again.
This gives me kind of the first glimpse of what the inlay, what the overall board will look like when it's oiled. A little sneak peek.
This is done so the next time the board comes in contact with water, it will stay smooth.
This is just about dry, but in the meantime, I'm going to drill the holes for the feet. I made this positioning jig with the CNC here. It goes on the corner. That way all 4 of the feet are in the exact same spot. In case y'all were wondering how I'm going to sand this side profile, I made this just a little shy of the overall size here so the sandpaper would fit in, but it's got the same profile. I just love hand sanding. Love it. That about does it. Finally, that was a lot of sanding. The lovely and talented CEO of KWS Woodworks is going to come down and oil this bad boy up for me.
You get back to work, okay? You get to rubbing deep in the crevices.
I'm so glad I got that on video. Let that soak in for a little bit, put the feet on, and that's it. Something about brass and walnut just looks so good to me. I think I paid like 12, 13 bucks, something like that for the set of these. That is it.